everybody, this is Detroit Allycat. It's been a big second since I've done a video, but I kind of wanted to do a video today and get back into it and start editing again. So here I am. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I like true crime, I like spooky stories, and everything in between. So buckle up, sit down, and let's talk about a little tiny cult. I guess cult is not a good word for it, but you can make that decision. So without further ado, let's get spooky. So today I want to talk about the FLDS, which for those of you who don't know, it's the Fundamental Latter-day Saints. So the Fundamental Latter-day Saints are a branch of the Mormons. In 1935, the Mormon church basically said, you know, we no longer want to do polyamorous relationships, and the Fundamentalist said, no, we definitely have to have this, and they branched off, and they kind of like were no longer a part of the Mormon church. Now, this is where it gets a little weird because I don't quite understand this, but I guess Mormons are Christians, but I don't know why they wouldn't just be called Christians. My friend Brittany is Mormon, and I'm gonna have her explain that to me one day because I'm still kind of confused on the whole thing, but apparently the word Mormon is a slur, and please don't ask me why that is. I'm gonna actually have someone who is Mormon explain that to me and go through all of it because I'm really interested. But today we're gonna talk about the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. So in the beginning there was various different people that ran this. It was always a man, and there are different men in the group, but when it starts to get pretty interesting, it was a man, and his name was Rulon Jeffs. Rulon Jeffs grew to be about 85 years old. He ended up having a heart attack or a stroke. And the reason why this is so very interesting is because when you are the leader of this group, you're not just a leader or a pastor or whatever name they give church going leaders. You're a prophet, which I think is pretty intense. Because, I mean, I'm not really up on my theology, but I thought prophet was supposed to be like, you know, it's a prophet. Somebody who like prophesizes things happening and has a direct line to God and tells you what God says. So Rulon Jeffs was a prophet, and this is according to the Fundamentalist. Now, just so we don't keep saying LDS and FDL, I'm just going to say the Fundamentalist because that way it's easier for me and it's easier for you. So Rulon Jeffs had, I think, around 60 wives, or I don't know, it was somewhere between 30 to 60 wives. And the main, he had, I'm wrong. He had like 30 wives and 60 children. And out of all those children, he had a favorite, and his name was Warren Jeffs. Now, when Rulon Jeffs got really sick and ended up dying, it was like a big devastation to the group because prophets weren't supposed to die. They had told him Rulon Jeffs was going to live forever, and then he was going to be reborn again and all these things, and it didn't happen. But Warren Jeffs was actually the one that became the next prophet, and Warren Jeffs is got some pretty interesting traits. He was a singer, he was a really good public speaker, and he was described by some of the members as being creepy and awkward. And as I watched a lot of the video of him, I could actually see that. The thing that really stuck out to me is that they made Warren Jeffs a principal at one of the schools, and he really liked the kids a lot, and that was kind of a problem. And his brothers noticed he liked the kids and said something to their father once about it, and their father was basically like, I'll take care of this, don't you worry about it, I don't want you to have anything to do with this, which was pretty upsetting. And so early on there were some pretty problematic behaviors from Warren Jeffs. But when his father died, Warren Jeffs came right in and started taking over, and he spun the narrative as basically his father died and then he became the prophet. And so he told everybody that he told everyone that his father was basically him, which is crazy, but they ate it up. There was only 2% of the 10,000 people that were like, that's probably not true. All of them continued to be with him. And the reason why this is very strange that Warren Jeffs said that he was actually his father reincarnated or reborn or whatever, the reason why this is very weird is because he decided he was going to remarry many of his father's wives, and one of them was his mother. I don't know. It just didn't make a lot of sense, and I don't think it actually happened that way, but he did say that. It's just kind of weird, and one of the things that people were like, huh? So when Warren Jeffs started taking over the group, he did a lot of talks about prophecies and the end of the world is coming, and basically that, the only people that were going to survive were the fundamentalists, and there was going to be a piece of land, and the fundamentalists were going to be on this land, and when the end of times came, this land would arise and they would be saved. And this is what Warren Jeffs taught his group. And basically every Sunday, and I think 7 days a week, he did morning devotions. He would drill it into their heads. The end of the world is coming, blood and fire and all this chaotic stuff would ensue. So these people were really stressed out. And the thing about fundamentalists is that they pretty much view the world is them just biding time and doing good so that they can go to Zion, which is the ultimate heaven, I guess. It's, yeah. So you have to do good on earth to get to Zion. And I think that Warren Jeffs made up a bunch of these stories, and it kind of changed and it got weird. So if some things don't make sense, please don't think it's me. It's definitely not me. It's just Warren Jeffs really changed his mind a lot on things. So a lot of the laws that he had to govern his group kind of went all over the place. But also in the fundamentalist group, in order for a man to go to Zion or achieve greathood or high spirituality, they had to have 3 wives. Now, when you're in a group like this, and wives are the biggest priority, when you have male sons, there's going to be an overflow, meaning there's not going to be a place for them in the community. And that's exactly what happened. A lot of these young men just didn't fit into the community, and they ended up getting kicked out. And all along the fundamentalist borders, they would have pretty much orphanages set up with these boys that were kicked out or asked to leave, and they started from 14 years old to all the way up to 18, and it was a really sad thing, but for some reason these parents thought that was okay. And around this time, after a few years of him ruling, he told everybody so, the earth is gonna end. And I think it was brought on by the Olympics. The Olympics decided to go to the city that they were mostly based out of, and for some reason this really bothered Warren Jeffs, so they did a mass exodus and they moved to a separate settlement. I believe that was Short Creek, Arizona, on the border of Arizona and Utah. And they went from 1,000 people in that area to, I think it was 10,000 people. And at this time, Warren Jeffs got a little bit more strict. He decided that they would have to wear more conservative clothes, and they would have to keep their hair a certain way. At the same time, he started having child marriages. So when the children turned around 14 or 15, they would ask you to turn over your daughters, and they would be married, and sometimes they would be married to extremely older men. And all these different activities started taking place. They asked the members to turn over their property, their money, everything. So the fundamentalists basically Warren Jeffs owned everything. And around this time, there was some activity. The FBI was watching them. One of the members decided to take off, and she was part of the FBI coming after the Fundamentalist, and because of this reason he knew that he was going to get taken down, and so he became a fugitive and he was on the run, and he ended up escaping to a city called El Dorado, Texas. Now in El Dorado, Texas pretty much all the way around, the people are a little bit different in Texas. I like Texas. I've never been there, but I watch a lot of them shows on Texas. I listen to a lot of the people in Texas talk, and they're the type of people that if something is going on in their neighborhood that they don't like, they're going to voice their opinion about it. And that is pretty much how the town of El Dorado felt when the Fundamentalists moved into their city. And they built this huge city with these gigantic walls. Well, I don't think there were walls, but they built this huge city, and they wouldn't let anybody into it. And a lot of people heard about the polyamorous stuff, multiple wives, and then there were rumors going on about children being married off, and they started to get really upset. So the interesting thing about the settlement in El Dorado, Texas, is there was a gigantic temple that had been built by Warren Jeffs, and it was pretty much known to be like, it was like a huge building that was dedicated to just him. So when they had decided that they were going to go inside and raid that settlement, there was a victim that took the FBI in there and said, let me help you look for the stuff, and that's what they did. Then they went straight to the gigantic temple. And the reason that's so important is because when they went in there, the one of the victims, one of the former fundamentalists, told them, like, you know, there's going to be a big safe in the basement, or a room where they keep all the stuff. And that's exactly what was in there. It was a gigantic safe with all the records, and they went ahead and they broke into the safe, and they found videotapes and records, and they basically saw all of it. 14, 15-year-old girls giving birth to children. And what was really interesting is in the back room there was a table, and this table looked like a bed, but it was like a large, high looking like altar type thing. And when they broke into the room that was a safe, they actually found recordings, and one of the recordings was Warren Jeff having some kind of a sexual consummation ritual where all his wives had to sit around as he had sex with some children or a child on one of these things, and he recorded it, and it was enough evidence to put him away for a very long time. It's very disgusting, and they got him and they put him away. And there was a lot of stuff that happened in between, and it would probably take me hours to explain, but I really just wanted to talk about them because it seems crazy to me that like a lot of people don't know about the fundamentalists. And what's even more interesting is you think that by Warren Jeffs being arrested and the, you know, state basically stepping in and saying all these things would happen, you think that this whole situation of these people would dissipate, but they're still there. They're still in these settlements. There's 2 or 3 of them, and they're still dressing like that. They're still doing polygamy, which, you know, honestly, the thing about the polygamy is not that big of a deal. And even the government has said that they're not after them because they're polygamous, because quite frankly, everybody does their own thing in 2022 sexually, and that's not really anybody's business. And I feel like the government's got bigger fish to fry than that at this point. The problem that they were having is that there were children who were basically being given to older men, and they were having babies, and it was just a big mess. But I wanted to talk about it because I feel like not a lot of people want to hear this, but the Fundamentalist Latter-day Saints were probably and are probably one of the biggest cults out there right now. And I think it's just something that, you know, is going to be an easy topic for me to talk about on my first true crime video back. And so I hope you didn't mind me being awkward. I tried to do it quickly and get used to the camera again. And here I am, I'm back, and I really like talking about the Fundamentalist Latter-day Saints. I probably will do another video about them and go more in depth. I just wanted to get back at it. So I hope you enjoyed my little video, and I'm thinking about possibly in the next couple Sundays having my friend Brittany, a Mormon, come here and we can talk to her about this and get a little more knowledge on the faith itself, because I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, so I enjoyed having you guys watch me today. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and if you didn't, please just go to another channel. There's thousands of other channels, and I thank you so much for watching me, and as always, stay spooky and stay safe.